It was Wednesday. You know what that means. Welcome back to the party package. My name is Owen, and allow me to introduce myself. I am the savior of entertainment and the prophet of professional wrestling content. And welcome back. It is Thursday, July 21st, and last night was AEW Fyter Fest, night 3, but week 2. So there we go. Main evented by Eddie Kingston versus Jericho in a barbed wire everywhere match, which was kind of interesting, but also kind of let down. But it's whatever. It's my first time watching the show in a while. I've been on vacation, been doing a lot of things, and I'm finally back to review the show. The last time I made one of these was for when I went to Double or Nothing, so here we are, back. It started off with Darby Allen versus Brody King in a grudge match, which has been going on, kind of been built up for a little while now. Turn off my ringer so that no one calls me during this. And this match, immediately right off the bat, you can tell is just going to be Darby Allen sacrificing himself for our entertainment once again, which he does every week, and he does a hell of a good job for it. Thank you, Darby. This is also this shirt is so cool. My favorite detail is his little face as one of the discs here. I don't know if you can really see that in the camera, but that's a really cool shirt. It came in one of the boxes. You can't buy it, but I saw a lot of people having it when I went. Anyways, this was right off the bat, Darby, they go outside the ring. Darby jumps through the ropes, right? And immediately as Darby jumps through the ropes, Brody King they do the thing where Brody puts his hands out, he catches him, and then he throws him into the, I don't know if you could see that, but he throws him into the barricade, and Darby immediately is already landing on top of his head on cement. Darby, I love you, but thank you. Keep doing what you're doing for our sake. For your sake, you should probably stop, but for our sake, keep going. But anyways, it already starts out crazy. They're just, Brody King, this entire match is just killing Darby. Darby, maybe a couple times he got in a little offense. He did the one thing where Brody was going to go charging after him in the corner. He jumps up on the rope, makes him hit, and then he does the thing John Cena does, his only cool move, it's called, the earthquake or something. It's not, but whatever it's called. His cool move where he jumps on the back. It's kind of like the Panama Sunrise type thing. Crazy. That was the only move Darby really got off. The end of the match saw Brody King doing his thing where he is choking Darby out from up top. And there we go. I grabbed a pillow of mine. Darby up top like this. He's choking him out. He lets go. He falls to the floor. Brody stays in the ring. And Darby somehow beats out the 10 count, but gets in and immediately, I don't know what Brody King's finisher's called, but he does some crazy thing where he once again drops Darby right on top of his head from his shoulders. It's kind of like a powerbomb type thing, but whatever you want to call it, he kills Darby. There's not really a lot of talk about this match. Darby came out with Sting. Sting went away. So after the match, Brody picks up Darby, and he's beating him up again, and he's basically he's choking him out, basically challenging Sting to come out, which he does. Sting comes out walking really, 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 really slow. He's getting into the ring. He grabs him, and immediately Sting starts fighting it back, bringing the pain back to him, right? Because he's Sting, he's unstoppable. But then as the lights turn out, they come back on. Malachi and Sting are staring down each other, and from behind, Brody King comes up, grabs Sting, and then I don't know if they've done this before because I haven't been able to watch in a couple weeks, but while he's in his choke, Malachi spits the dye in his face, the mist in his face. That's a really cool idea of that being his thing, is to choke people out and then he sprays them, which is kind of weird because it's well, what happens when they get spit in the face? I imagine it hurts their eyes. Let's say it's vinegar or something. Let's say it's just actually vinegar and he spits it in his eyes and they're I can't see. But if it's not vinegar, like, what happens if it what is it, like the Dilophosaur stuff from Jurassic Park? Does it, like, paralyze you if it touches you? And so, like, it got on Brody King. There is a part of him on him. But and they stand tall, and then Miro comes out with his cool music. He comes down. He's wearing sunglasses, which I think one side was darker than the other side, which made me think, like, oh, maybe he's got some face paint on, like Malachi has to, like, he's covering one of his eyes, like Malachi's paint. And he's coming down, and he doesn't go into the ring, and you can see Tony brought it up. He's like, his eyes are closed. Now they're open, kinda. That was kind of funny. And they stare each other down, but Miro doesn't do anything, and they cut to black. So probably Miro's gonna join the House of Black, which is probably a pretty good. That seems like a good fit for each other. Miro fitting in would probably fit in pretty well with them. But at the same time, I feel like, I don't know, that seems like it would work, but not for the long run. I think Miro would be there for, like, a good little while, but he's the first one to, like, to break away. All guys with beards. I think that's the only theme with that group. Next, not a lot to really talk about, though. I mean, that's what happened. I figure Miro's going to join. Next week, he'll probably come out, and eventually what'll happen is he'll run out to interfere, and then instead he'll beat up Darby and Sting. So next up, we've got Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta versus the Best Friends for the Tag Team Championship celebration. Yeah. I don't understand why. I don't remember it being called the celebration. Why is it called the celebration? Anyways, this match, this match was just another run-of-the-mill match. You know, they're really just putting out 4 guys out there that everyone loved, that they know that they can go and run and do whatever they want and just put on a good show. And that's what these guys did. Orange sits at commentary, where William Regal goes as well. It was funny. One of the first things Regal says to Orange, he says, "Did you know that there's no English word there's no word in the English language that rhymes with orange?" And I just thought that was really funny that he would bring up to him, like, is he insulted by that? So I thought that was a funny thing that he did. This match, I mean, nothing really special in particular happened. I think the most notable thing is Wheeler Yuta kicked out of 2 tombstone pile drivers in a row. So that's pretty insane. I don't really know what else happened. This match nothing really happened. I mean, other than, like, you know, your typical things, you know, hot tag John, whatever, he goes in and destroys. Not a lot of story implications here. Not a whole lot happened other than just a pretty solid match that you'd want to see in person. So, fun match, and we move on to the next segment of the show. Yes. So, after that happened... Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, so the next thing that happened was the Tag Team Celebration. Not that match was called that. The Tag Team Celebration was Swerve and Keith Lee coming out to celebrate their win. And this was kind of a weird segment. So, they come out and Swerve... I hate tag teams where their music is just their own music. They come out and they go out to one person's, like what they do. I wish they would just kind of, like, mix them together. What if it, like, Swerve's thing, like, I don't know what the words are, but it's like, down, 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 who am I? And it goes into Keith Lee's song, so then they could come out together, which I've thought of a really good idea. I'm not going to share it. I'm going to keep to myself for right now. But anyways, they come to the ring, and they finally get in. Everyone's chanting, "Oh, bask in his glory." And then Swerve's like, hold on. Whose house? Swerve's house. So everyone responds. They cut back, and they just kind of talk about what they did, and they talk about whatever. And but this whole segment seemed kind of weird, because, like, the whole part where Keith Lee took out his, like, I thought he said he took off his jacket, he's like, take it off, in there, like, something. I thought he was going to take it off and then show, like, oh, you can get our shirt or something. But he wasn't even wearing their shirt, I don't think. I don't know what it was. Something about this seemed really off. And I don't know if it's because they didn't really have a plan for when they went out there and talked, and they only had their plan about what was going to happen once the lawyer guy comes out, whatever is Smart Mark Sterling, which is the stupidest person in the world. But they talked about really nothing. And finally, Smart Mark Sterling comes out. He's interrupting him, and he calls Keith Lee big or something. And Keith Lee's like, "Watch your tone." And he goes down, and in the audience they have rapper Kevin Gates, who I've never heard of. He's got 10 million followers on Instagram, so he's got a following, but I've never even heard of his name before. And he comes out, and him and Tony Nese go up to Kevin Gates, and they're like, "We need you to sign this petition against Keith Lee and Swerve for some reason." And they, like, hand it to him. He doesn't sign it, and he punches him. And then behind, Keith Lee and Swerve get a cake, and then they smash the cake in Smart Mark Sterling's face. And then they kind of celebrate with Kevin Gates. It was a very weird, like, the way I'm describing it is basically how it happened on TV exactly. Like how weird I'm making it sound is how weird it was. It didn't make any sense at all. Like, I didn't understand. This was one of those this was one of those times on TV where it feels like they put, like, 4 guys out there, and none of them had, like, any script. Not that they have scripts there, but they had no, like, idea what they were actually doing out there. You know what I mean? They didn't have a goal. They didn't have a premise. They were just like, well, your job is to basically eventually get to Kevin Gates punching you, so we get a famous person to do something on our show. So it was a very, I hate this word, but cringy segment. Next up, the Varsity Blondes versus Luchasaurus and Christian Cage. To be honest, I don't really remember the match. I remember Christian comes out, Luchasaurus comes out with him. They get in the ring, and then the Varsity Blondes come out, which they have the dumbest gimmick. I don't care. I like those guys individually as people, but I could not care less about Brian Flying Pillman and just lanky, what stupid face his name. I cannot get behind them at all. They have, like, the least character, and not least character, just, like, there's just they're one of those teams that you always saw in WWE throughout the years that they show up for, like, they'll be around for, like, a year, and you can tell, like, they have some sort of, like, they're likable people, and you can tell why they were hired, but they really have nothing to cheer for, and eventually they're gone. They have no sort of legacy or anything. So that's the type of team that they remind me of, is that they're never going to be anything. This team has no future. This team has no anything behind them. So they come out. Did the match actually happen? Because to be honest, I do not remember them actually fighting. And I watched the show. Well, whatever happened in the match, I don't remember. It must not have been, I mean, I'm sure Luchasaurus just went in and killed them immediately. And after the match, Jungle Boy comes out, and he's wearing a leather jacket. He looks like he's starting to not shave his beard. He's looking a little scruffy, and he's wearing a leather jacket. So he's looking cooler. He's looking more intimidating somewhat. And he starts coming down, and Luchasaurus comes down, and he's standing at the end of, like, the ramp, and he's looking at him all big, and Jungle Boy has a chair. I forgot to mention that. And he's standing there with him. Christian's in the ring, like, good luck getting past my monster. And Luchasaurus turns around, stands side by side Jungle Boy, and he allows him to go after him. I was so ready for, like, for Jungle Boy to, like, run past him, and he grabs him by the hair, and he, like, throws him down or something, then beats him up. But no, Luchasaurus allowed him to go after him. I loved that. Jungle Boy needs to be by himself, but so does Luchasaurus, and I hope Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus shouldn't break up at this point in their relationship. If those two are going to break up, they need to break up on their own terms, not because of Christian, or like it could be like like a Shield thing where Christian like leads to their downfall between each other, but it can't be because Christian told Luchasaurus to turn on him. I feel like Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, the dinosaur and his little boy or whatever, that needs to happen on its own story, not with this whole Christian thing. So he goes after Christian, which Christian goes running through the crowd going up the stairs, and Jungle Boy immediately catches up to him, but they still have to run all the way to the top and run away. So that was a fun segment, and I'm looking forward to seeing next week Jungle Boy, and hopefully Luchasaurus sticks with Jungle Boy. I think it would be a lot more interesting if Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus stay an actual tag. Maybe not a tag team, but they stay friends, and then maybe they stay friends, they stay separate. Jungle Boy gets his win over Christian, and he goes off on a singles run. He gets the TNT title or something, and then maybe eventually those two team back up, and then they win the tag titles again, and then they turn on each other. It's just those two are such a perfect fit for each other that downfall needs to happen between them. It'd be kind of sad if they just kind of went away, because those two, it's it'd be like a feud between ketchup and mustard. It can't be broken up by, mustard teaming up with mayo. You know what I mean? Not really. So anyways, we move on to the FTW Championship, which Taz couldn't stop mentioning is not a sanctioned title by AEW, because it isn't. But he couldn't stop mentioning that. So it's Ricky Starks versus Cole Carter, making his AEW debut. I don't remember. Anyways, Cole Carter is going to fight. The match starts, and it was not a very long match. I don't think, was it? It wasn't a long match. No, it wasn't a long match. Ricky comes out with Powerhouse Hobbs, and they get in the ring, they fight, they do whatever. It was a fun little match, and eventually Ricky hits Cole Carter with a spear, not a Rochambeau, and wins. And he grabs the mic, and he's like, Alabama! No, not. He says Atlanta, and everyone cheers, because Ricky, I already went over it in my one video, but Ricky is a star. Ricky is going to be, if used correctly, a star in the making. He is going to be a big name eventually. Whether it's because of wrestling or he does the thing like The Rock and goes into acting, he is going to be a big star. There's no way he's not going to. But basically everyone's cheering for him. He's going on kind of like a face-ish talk. And he says, if you want, I'm not done yet. I still got gas in the tank. I'm having another open challenge. And anyone in the back, come on out. And then, and then Danhausen comes out. And he's like, he's like, Ricky Stark. And that's not what he sounds like. And he's like, Ricky, I take on this challenge. And Ricky's right now, he says, or something like that. I'm better at it. I have a sore throat. I can't really do his voice right now. And Ricky's like, whoa. It's not tonight. We'll see. Danhausen, and everyone's booing him. And he's like, it's okay, you can watch it on TV. I thought that was hilarious, because it's always the whole gimmick of, next week it'll happen, not tonight, it'll be next week, and everyone in the live crowd audience is like, oh, boo, we want to see it here. But he's like, hold it, you can watch it at home, and I think this is going to perfectly set up. Danhausen is going, I saw something, and it basically kind of helped, but, shh. Basically, I think what's going to happen is Danhausen might actually fight well against Ricky, or Ricky just destroys Danhausen, and Powerhouse Hobbs will get in there, and they'll kill Danhausen, and then Hook will come out, and he's going to be like, nah, they're not hurting my friend, and then that's going to cause the divide, which I called earlier about for Double or Nothing is that I thought Ricky and Powerhouse were going to win the tag titles, which would set up Hook and Danhausen to maybe take them on for the titles, which would have been a cooler story. But if this is going to be the way they're going to go with it, that would be awesome because Danhausen's going to get beat up. Hook comes out, and then Team Taz kind of separates, and then Hook can get the FTW title because I'm sure that's exactly who Taz, who brought in the title, would want to take it off of Ricky. So that would be a really, really cool story, is if Ricky is going to lose it to, and then maybe we get Danhausen and Hookhausen versus Team Taz, which would be interesting because Team Taz is his dad. So that'll be fun to watch. It's going to be cool to see next week and what's going to happen in that divide because it's Fyter Fest. No, wait. Fight for the Fallen. This was Fyter Fest. Fight for the Fallen's next week. That's right. So that's going to be really fun to watch next week. Unfortunately, it's not this week. Next up, FTR previews Before Death, Before Dishonor, and the main story come out of this is Dax tells a story about how a family near home or whatever, he had a daughter. They went to the doctor, and the daughter had a hole in her heart, and the doctor said, "Don't like." I'm screwing up the story. The doctor said to go check it out, and then there's a hole in her heart, and they said if you fight really strong, you just stay resilient, you can overcome this. And Dax says that little girl was my daughter, and she's okay, and whatever. A touching story. And he says, and then the main punchline is, so at Death for Dishonor, I'm going to fight like a little 8-year-old girl, which is a really cool line, and they have a shirt for it. And that's a really cool line. That's a line that I want them to like keep around. I'm going to fight like an 8-year-old girl. That would be a really cool That's a really cool line because that's amazing line. If they should have saved that for like a movie or something because that line that is a killer line, and then what a story. And then of course probably the worst match of all time, sadly, is Willow Nightingale and Athena, a.k.a. Ember Moon, versus Jade, Cargill, and Kyra Hogan. Oh my god. This match, Willow Nightingale is actually really entertaining. She can... So Chris Statlander, because Layla Gray was either hurt or she wasn't allowed to fight for some reason, Chris Statlander was to be barred from ringside, which, by the way, Chris Statlander was... Anyways, Jade Cargill, Kyra Hogan versus her. Willow Nightingale was it was actually pretty entertaining. She's way better than Jade Cargill and Kyra Hogan. She was a lot more entertaining. Kyra Hogan, she's just a botch mission. She's not like a Darby, like doing Darby Allen things, botching and like killing herself. Not that Darby Allen botches, but you know what I mean, like actually like doing things. She just like misses. She just like misses things. She sucks. And Jade Cargill, oh my god. Don't even get me started. She is unathletic, and she moves weird. She moves like Gumby. She moves like Gumby. She looks like a freezing like Bailey Buddy. Like that's how I would describe her, is like someone put water on a Bailey Buddy, and she moves so stupidly. Ember Moon Athena, amazing. I've always thought when I saw her in NXT and OE, I thought she was out of like their crop of girls that Ember was out of like Becky, Bailey, Charlotte, Sasha. I know they're the 4 horsewomen, but like Asuka and Carmella and everyone, Alexa, that Ember was like the wrestler of the group. She was like the AJ Styles of the group. That she was like the good wrestler. Now she's in AEW where she's surrounded by other ones that are like that, but they put her in a match where Jade Cargill, the worst wrestler in this entire match, literally the worst one, yet she's the one with a 33-0 streak, which big deal, is the one that picks up the win. So whatever. You know what? Who cares? No one cares. I hate her. She's mean and rude. Anyways, we finally have the main event. It's time for the main event. We've got Eddie Kingston versus the Painmaker, Chris Jericho. And this is a barbed wire everywhere match, which I've never heard of before, which I will say barbed wire was in a lot of places, but I wouldn't really call it everywhere. But anyways, this match starts out with Eddie, of course, getting into the ring and immediately attacks Jericho before they do anything, and he attacks him with barbed wire. He grabs Justin Roberts' microphone had barbed wire on it, so Eddie grabs it and he starts stabbing Jericho with the microphone, and Jericho's already bleeding from the get-go. I mean, this match just the good guy. Oh, I completely forgot Ruby Soho before the match. So the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society, so Jake Hager, Daddy Magic, Angelo, and Daniel Garcia are locked in a shark cage because it's Shark Week, and Ruby Soho lifts them up, and she's sitting ringside with a button to control the shark cage. So that's really important. So standard run of the mill, Eddie Kingston, Jericho just hurting each other as much as possible. Eventually, they throw each other off the ropes, and Jericho, oh my God, just sacrificing himself for us. I mean, what did he fall on? Oh, the table along the side. When Eddie had the upper hand to start, and then it was turned around, Jericho throws him onto a table in the ring, not the one on the outside, and it's stuck in his thigh. And it's so painful to watch because you can see, because Aubrey had to pull him out so they could actually get up, and it's just so painful to watch them literally pull those at least centimeter thick spikes from their leg. I couldn't even imagine. And Jericho is on the upper hand, but then Eddie is then thrown into, I forget, whatever. They're just fighting each other, whatever. Usual stuff. Eddie Kingston's biting his forehead. And, he goes thrown into the table. They go on the top rope, and Jericho does his Hurricanrana thing, goes backwards, throws Eddie into that. Then Jericho has the upper hand. On the outside, Eddie is thrown into a table on the floor. I forget who did that. I don't know why that's the only thing that's blanking me. But, I mean, hopefully this is the final match between these two. But eventually, out of nowhere, Ty comes down, and she goes to Ruby Soho, and she attacks her from behind. She's getting the button, and Anna comes out, and she is like, whoa, Ty, what are you doing? What are you doing? Calm down. And then she turns around and beats up Ruby, and they're like, see, we're still best friends. So, I mean, holy crap. I mean, my idol, Chris Jericho, now has, I'm sorry, with the two hottest girls in the world with him on his side. I mean, whatever. Anyways, so Anna's now working with him, and they're in the ring, and so they lower down the shark cage, so then they can come out, which then leads to the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club plus Santana Ortiz to run out, and they're going in, and now everyone's fighting each other, and the end sees, which is kind of interesting, because and Sammy comes out as well. No, Sammy doesn't come out yet. So they're fighting each other. They all eliminate each other. They all cancel each other out. So, Daniel Garcia cancels out Santana, and they all disappear somewhere. They're all dead outside. Whatever. Eventually, it's just Eddie, which is weird, because even though, you still have Anna and Ty out there, so they still have the advantage. So, those two could easily just grab some barbed wire and just spike someone on the back. And then they are winning, but whatever. So it finally comes down with Eddie and Jericho are in the ring together, and Eddie grabs a piece of barbed wire and puts it around Jericho's arm, and he does like this, like his thing where he like puts his arm behind him and like is like doing a sort of submission type thing, and it's supposed to be like more painful because his arm's in there, but it has gotta hurt Eddie too because it's in his arm. And then Sammy comes out, he runs down the ring, he comes in, and as Eddie's in like the submission, he comes in, super kick. I'm better at those, just don't have a lot of space. But he comes in, super kick to Eddie. He gets Jericho up. And now this part was weird. I don't know if they just kind of were confused or like Jericho was tired or they just didn't really understand how they were supposed to do this. But Jericho's getting up and with Sammy's like lifting him up and Eddie's up now. And Eddie goes in for his, his spinning back fist, stupidest finisher literally in the world. I'm okay. Eddie goes back and forth for me, but regardless of it, when I feel good or bad about him, his finisher is the stupidest in the world. And he does a stupid finisher. He tries to do a finisher to Jericho. But, he hit it already, which then he won to Jericho kicked out. That's when he put the barbed wire on him. But this time he goes for it, and I don't understand if Sammy was supposed to, if he sacrificed himself to block it, or I'm not entirely sure what happened. But he goes in for it, and, he hits Sammy on, the arm or something, but he doesn't really sell it. He's like, and he, kind of, is dazed or something. It's very odd. But basically it sets up for Jericho with the spikes on his arm to do his Judas effect, which then kills Eddie because he just got spiked in the head. 1, 2, 3. Jericho wins this ordeal. It's finally over. But Eddie, up in his rage, gets up and he grabs Jericho and he brings him to the outside and he throws him in the bed of spikes of the barbed wire on the ground, which is the only place where barbed wire was everywhere in this bed. And I don't really understand the point of that because it makes me think oh my god, is this gonna go on longer? I don't think so. I hope that's the end. It better be the end. I don't know how else they could go with it. But it looks like that's finally the end. I don't really understand why Eddie threw him in after Jericho beat him. But whatever. Jericho's dying in pain, which I'm sure he is because that looks like the most painful thing in the world. And they end the show. So overall, this is a pretty good show. For me, out of 10, I'd give this this is a fun show. Wrestling, I feel like gets better after you don't watch it you have to take a little break and then watch it again. And I felt a lot more excited to watch this show. So for me, being the first one back, I mean, it wasn't outstanding by any means, but I would say this was a solid 8. A solid 8. 9 is pretty good. 10 is of course perfect. I would say this was an 8. It was fun. Not really any bad point. Well, I might make it a 7 because Jade. You know what? Yeah. Anytime Jade Cargill wins, any show loses a point. Anytime I don't get to see Chris Statlander or Ty or Anna Jay, that loses another point. So they got those points because I got to see all 3 of them today. Anyways, so I'd give this show a 7. Pretty good show. Next week we got to look forward to Hook and what that's going to deal with. We also got a rap battle set up for Rampage, which could be really fun or really stupid. With those two guys, with Austin Gunn and Max Caster, it's probably going to be really fun to watch. So that's to look forward to on Rampage. I'm looking really forward to next week and what happens on Fight for the Fallen, not Dynamite. I'm really looking forward to that because I want to see what happens between Hookhausen and Team Taz. That's what I'm looking forward to. So I guess I don't really know what else to go over. That was the rest of the show. So I guess until next time, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please pick up your free subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. Then hit the little ding bell that pops up next to it. Leave a like, not a dislike, but you can go down below to the comment section to leave your thoughts, opinions, rants, tangents, and other sorts of feedback, reviews, comments, concerns, and suggestions, and anything you'd like to say down below. If you like this show, leave your rating of the show. What do you think of the show this week? I thought it was pretty good, pretty fun. Really looking forward to what happens next week, though. And I guess until next time, I have been the party, and thank you for watching. Ta-ta for now. I mean,